Good morning. This is Chapter 6 lecture video for payroll accounting, and this is probably the worst chapter. If you thought the other chapters were bad, this chapter is about journalizing everything that you're learning. Basically, how do I journalize payroll? And I'm assuming that if you're taking payroll accounting, you had to take accounting 1A, and that's where we had to do debits and credits, and that's what this chapter is about. So let me park myself over here in the corner. Actually, let me put myself in that corner up there. And we're going to start talking about journalizing payroll, probably the hardest part. Now, I will share with you online a rules of debit and credit, kind of a reminder what to debit, what to credit, so that it helps you remember how to do this stuff. So when I account for payroll transactions, I have these registers. I have a payroll register and employees' earnings records. Both of these documents we've already talked about in previous chapters. But then I have to journalize everything. I have to journalize when I pay out payroll, the gross payroll, and everything I withhold. Then I have to journalize what my payroll taxes are as an employer. Then I have to pay the government the money that I withheld. The taxes withholdings that were withheld has to be paid to the government agencies, and I have to journalize that. And sometimes I have to make adjustments at the end. If you remember from accounting 1A, after journal entries, you always post to general ledgers. So I'm not going to talk a lot about the general ledger, but this is everything that has to happen in this particular chapter. Okay, so on the payroll register, if you remember correctly, I recorded all the times for all my employees for each pay period. It has all of this information on them. And so what I need to actually do is foot or prove the payroll. So basically I should add the columns and rows, columns down, rows to the right like that, and make sure everything matches. That's for the payroll register. For the employee's earnings record, which is nothing more than one record for each employee, here's what I'm going to be doing to do all of that. Again, I want to make sure that it all matches. I'm going to add up all rows, add up all columns, and take a look at it. And that's how I prepare my W-2s from that, by the way. But recording the gross payroll. So this is going to be the first journal entry you're going to make. So when I pay payroll, the total gross amount will be the debit portion. Remember, there's a debit and credit, and you always have to list the debit account first and then the credit account. So the gross payroll will be debited, and it'll be either under wage expense or salary expense. That's usually how I have it. All the taxes withheld will be the credit, and I'll have a tax withholding account for each liability. These are things I owe. And then there might be other payroll deductions. These are voluntary deductions. At least these first four are voluntary deductions. And then this one, garnishment, is something that's mandatory, and this is voluntary. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to talk about each of these things right here really quick. So this is video 1 of chapter 6. And so I'm going to stop here, and on video 2, we're going to talk about each of these 6 items right here.